Alright guys, this is a project I've been meaning to do for a while. I've just finally willed myself up to go and do it. We're going to see how bad this head gasket is on this 212 John Deere. It's been a long time since it's had any care given to it. Honestly, I haven't torn it apart in years, and even then, it was just simple issues like the PTO handle popping off and etc., etc. But currently at the moment, it has a little bit of a problem where I think it's got a head gasket leak. Actually, I don't think. I know, because you can see the dampness down there. And of course, the throttle cable is busted, so I'm going to try to buy one of them and put it in here before long too. I should have pulled the side panels off. That was probably a bad move on my part, but I'm only touching the head, so I'm not really concerned. But today we're going to basically be diagnosing and seeing how bad this is. I have a brand new head gasket waiting for it in the shop. We're going to go ahead and tear this head off and see how bad it is. Okay, so I just went to the shop. Apparently I bought a gasket kit a long time ago, but there's your head gasket right there. Hopefully it's the right one, so I got to order another one. 7/8 socket for spark plug. Should have taken that out first, but yeah. 9/16 for the head bolts, and I got my torque wrench. I'll show you the torque sequence and spec here in a minute. Sadly, I can actually take this thing apart mainly with the 1/4-inch drive set, which is really handy because it's just more or less a suitcase you carry around. And of course, here's my rudimentary storage area. I just got all the bolts and dips and dabs, and oh yeah, apparently the bracket over here on top of the distributor snapped in half, and it's apparently been replaced in the past too, so that's wonderful. That's not good. I got a feeling that's probably a common theme for where they break at then. But anyways, let me crack it off and we'll see how bad it is. Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and inspect the spark plug first, considering the fact that I haven't really ever checked this for a long time. Just black. It doesn't really look like there's anything standing out. You know, it's running maybe a tickle rich, burning a little oil, but ain't nothing that I'm all too concerned about in all reality. It does need cleaned pretty bad here because it's covered in a bunch of junk, so yeah. Oh well, I'll take care of that here in a few minutes. Moment of truth. Let's see what we got underneath here. Oh, I thought that was going to be way worse. No, not too terrible. Bad news is I don't see a blown head gasket. That's not good. Here. I'll wipe her down and clean her off here in a little bit. So, just as a PSA, I guess, if you want to be able to take your head off without having to undo this bracket here for all your muffler and whatever else it holds on down there, you have to double nut this guy and loosen him, which that's not a good idea, but at the same time, it's up to you. I personally don't mind the fact that I just don't mind it. It's easy enough. Put double nuts on there and voila, you're done. But that's a little concerning, actually. That's quite concerning, actually, because that means something foreign has gotten in there that shouldn't have. Well, no rocking of the piston, so that's a good start. There's a good bit of carbon buildup on there, and there's a lot of engine oil on it, which is, once again, concerning. It probably needs rings. Oh, yeah, I can see oil going past it right now. Oh, that's not good. Looks like I get to rebuild this poor thing. Okay, there's bottom dead center, right about chair. And oh yeah, that piston wall's pretty scored up. I don't know how well you guys can see it here. Let me change camera. Let's see. So I doubt you guys will be able to see it because of how reflective it is in here. But you can see there's a bit of a ridge going on right here. And if you come over here on this side, there you go. It's not bad. It's actually decent for a well-used engine, but you can see the up and down scoring marks here. So it's had a relatively rough life. It probably could use a rebuild, honestly. It's not in bad shape, but it could be a lot better. It has an absolute boatload of junk up here, which is really concerning because it probably hasn't been cleaned in a long time, which that's perfectly understandable, but I mean, that. So as for the head gasket, looking at it right now, I don't really see anything wrong with it. Obviously, I'm not going to reuse it, but it actually looks in pretty decent shape for what it is. It's just extremely dirty. I'm really concerned with the amount of oil in there, though. Well, guys, so after sitting here and mulling over it like a ponderer from oldie times, I guess I come up with the solution that I'm just going to go ahead and yank the engine and rebuild it. This would be a great learning experience for me, considering the fact that I've never ever done one. And, you know, if I screw up on an engine like this, it's not the big, and it's not going to be the end-all be-all if I screw up on this. So, you know, good learning engine, single cylinder, it's air-cooled. There's not really much to go wrong with it. But if it's been sitting for approximately a week because I woke it up from a winter nap, actually, I think I woke it up from like a year nap last week, and you can see, well, you can't really see on the camera, but I can see quite a bit of oil quite literally sticking to the cylinder wall, probably more so than necessary. And it looks like, now that I'm looking at it a little more in depth, I can actually see a little bit of heat marking in there. It's not turning colors, but I can see a little bit of scuffing on the sides up in there. So it's probably a good time to pull it and rebuild it. Maybe put some valve seats in it if I can even do that. Doesn't look like I can. Yeah. So, anyways, I guess this just turned into an engine rebuild, so stay tuned. Torn it down most of the way, at least exterior wise, and I'm starting to dig into the meat. However, there's a couple things that honestly need to be redone before it goes back together, and the PTO is definitely not excluded on this because the bearings, this thing is always, oh yeah, it's got some heat going on there. You can see the blue, but the bearings in this thing, that wiggles. Yeah, they're there at least, but they're getting kind of worn out. So actually, I might be able to get away with slicking some grease in there, maybe seeing if that shuts it up. Because the seal, everybody else in there actually looks pretty decent. So I don't know. Clutch material, yeah, we got a little bit of an indent, but everything's still there at least. Yeah, and there's your PTO clutch material on the actual housing itself. I'd imagine you pull this guy off and put a new one on if you're going to want some more PTO material, and then get a new one of these. But that's expensive because it's not an electric clutch, and I bet they don't make them anymore. If they do, they're expensive. So this is the manual clutch setup, which was used from 1975, which this is the first year of them, in 1975, all the way up to 78, I believe. They switched to the electric PTO in these, and they went away with all this BS. And let me tell you, when these wear out, they're not very fun to take care of, which thankfully I've got enough PTO material left on both sides of these that I'm not really concerned about replacing them. But the linkages, on the other hand, I've already put a new joint in it, and it's still pretty loose, which you can't see it really. But if you can see that little silver piece right behind that wiring there, that's the new little ball socket joint. Because I kicked on the mower deck one day when this thing had a mower deck, and it came on, and then stayed on, and I lost my lever. I just could sit there and flip it back and forth with free play, and absolutely no resistance, nothing. I peeked down in there, and what do you know, that little ball popped out of its socket, and the socket's got a mile-wide deep hole in it. So I went to Deere, bought that, and I think back in 2019, I want to say, that little elbow cost me $30. So yeah, these manual PTOs can get kind of expensive pretty quick. So next I have to fiddle around with the motor mounts, which I've already undone my starter and all my electrical connections. I just now have to get in there and do the starter, fuel, and my choke cable. That's pretty much it. And then I can lift this thing out, go throw it in a truck bed, and I guess tear it down and start rebuilding it. All right, so after probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, it's out. Never thought I'd see the day that I'd have my 212 engine out, but here we are. It's actually really freaking simple. Yes, it is leaking gas like crazy. I don't really care at the moment. The gas in there is probably not really worth anything anyways. It's been sitting in there for 2-3 years now because this thing hasn't run for a long time. Therefore, it's not worth it. So more than likely, as I'm looking at it and getting to thinking about it, I'll probably save up and just restore it because we're already here. Wouldn't hurt to take the wheels off, take all my panels off, sandblast it all, paint it black. Same with the wheels, take them, sandblast them yellow, put them back on, put some new tires all the way around on it, new seat. Go find a mower deck for it, it's period correct. Because I'm already getting to the power plant. Ain't no reason the tractor shouldn't get a little better treatment itself too. So I guess I'll go ahead and get a engine rebuilt kit put on order. I'm going to go find a bolt to put in that damn fuel line because that's really leaking like crazy. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and try to stick this back in a pickup bed.